Hi, Leslie. Good evening. Yeah, it was so exciting because for the first time, we were able to witness and be a part of an Iowa caucus here in Northern Virginia. This is the first year, the first time that the caucuses have allowed these satellite locations. There's just shy of 100 of them in the United States and actually in several places around the world. Iowans take their voting extremely seriously. Let me give you an example of that. There was a couple from a small town in Iowa. They vacation every year in Williamsburg, Virginia. They were on their vacation in Williamsburg, found out about this satellite location, drove 2.5 hours up here to George Mason to be able to vote. There were 15 people who voted here in the satellite location. So what were the results? How did they do, right? So Elizabeth Warren won this precinct out of 15. She had 8 votes. Bernie Sanders had 5 votes, and Amy Klobuchar had 2. Now let me take you through and give you a 30-second explanation of how the Iowa caucus actually works. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that with my toy dinosaurs. Let's say there are 100 toy dinosaurs here, okay? What you have to do as a candidate and as voting, you've got to go what's in viability. What's that called? So, okay, listen, these group of people, they want to vote for Joe Biden. These group of people, they want to vote for Pete Buttigieg. These group of people want to vote for Elizabeth Warren. And these group of people want to vote for, say, Bernie Sanders. Okay, a couple over here for Tom Steyer, a couple over here for Andrew Yang. Now, each of these, they have to have 15% in order to be considered a, quote, viable candidate. So if you look over here, Andrew Yang with 2 voters, not a viable candidate. So what happens in the next round? Okay, there's a second round of voting. What happens in that point is all of these other supporters try to convince the non-viable candidate to go to their corner. Or these 2 voters, they can just peace out and go home. Or they could try to convince another non-viable candidate to join them to become viable. There was also a satellite spot in D.C. that had 100 voters there. The results of that one, 42 Elizabeth Warren, 23 Pete Buttigieg, 20 for Joe Biden, and 15 for Bernie Sanders. Mary Beth Armstrong is with us. She's 20 years old. She's from Des Moines. She is actually the caucus chairperson here tonight. And who did you vote for and why, Mary Beth?
I voted for Warren for a couple reasons. I do like her progressive policies, and I think that she has some plans in action to be able to achieve those.
How cool was it to be able to participate in the Iowa caucus hundreds of miles from home?
Yeah, it was really cool. I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to caucus, and so to not only be able to caucus for my first time, but also to be able to lead a caucus was an unforgettable experience.
How big a deal is it for people in Iowa to be able to be part and participate in the caucus? I mean, I guess you've been around it your whole life.
Yeah, I've been around it since, I remember them since I was 8 years old, and so it is a pretty big deal for, it's planning months in advance for these caucuses to happen. Yeah. Well,
you did a great job. Thanks for staying up with us, and thanks for coming on with us. Really appreciate it. So one of the most interesting parts about this, literally people were participating in the Iowa caucus in Paris, in Scotland, and in Georgia. Not the state, the country. The Iowa caucuses, Leslie, have gone global. It's been quite a night for sure.